Thank you for meeting with us today. We have Kelly Reeves here. She has worked for the Studio 3 in the
Right.
capacity with the city and the school district for over 30 years.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for doing this. The tables are turned on me.
It's all
I'm not sure
good.
I like it, but
So let's talk about what brought you to the city of Worthington.
well, um, when in 1992 I started dating a classmate of mine from home, Emmitsburg, Iowa's home, Dave Reeves, and Dave lived here. And we, traveled back. I was in Sioux City working at KTIV, and then after that, I started working at Gateway 2000 is what it was called then, selling computers. And so I was doing that. And then in the fall of '93, I believe he may or may not have been coerced into asking me to marry him. um, anyway, he asked me to marry him. And so then we got married in April of 1994. And I moved here a couple weeks before that, I think. And then we went on our honeymoon, came home, and I started working at J.C. Penney. And I worked there for a while. And I was a kind of like there was a word for it, but I was a supervisor to some extent. But that was something I knew I didn't want to continue to do. Retail is interesting, and it wasn't exactly for me. But anyway, I thought, well, I'm probably not going to get to use my degree, which is in journalism. I have a degree in communications, mass communications, and journalism was my what I specialized in. And then I have a minor, I think, in political science. For a long time, I can't remember, but I did take a lot of political science. But anyway, I was a news reporter in Sioux City, and so I thought, well, I'm probably not going to be able to use that here. So maybe Penny's is where I'm going. And a job came across Dave Nixon, who was you'd remember Dave Nixon probably, do you, watching him
Yes.
on KTIV and um, KCAU down in Sioux City
Yes.
for many years when we were growing up. And he is a family friend and also was a mentor. And he was doing, he was had started a broadcast department at Iowa Lakes Community College in Esterville. And this job came across a fax machine, I think back then. And he right away called me and said, I'm going to fax you something. And I think Dave had a fax machine at the clinic. And this is your job. This is what you want to do. This is right here in Worthington. So I applied for the job. I interviewed, I believe it was I think it was the 3rd of July in 1994 with Bruce Blotty and I believe Dale McMahon, who had the job prior to me.
Yes.
And then a couple of maybe another school board member, maybe Dr. Thomas. I can't really remember if he was in. He was the superintendent of schools then. But anyway, I got the job. They called maybe 2 days later, after the holiday, it must have been. But and I started August 1st, 1994, and I have been here ever since.
So it is a solid 30 plus years.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And this year you are retiring.
I am. I It's with, sadness certainly because of the circumstances that that I'm in right now and the turn that my life took in November of 23 with my husband David passing away suddenly. That well, my life was turned upside down, as you know, and
Yeah.
have been integral in helping me get through. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um, but I decided that uh, when I turned 60, I could take his death benefit. So his Social Security is now available to me. So I wouldn't, of course, been retiring if Dave hadn't passed away, because Dave was very much of the thought that we would probably work till we were 65 and get as much money made as we could. Um, but I thought uh, when I decided to do this, I thought if I could ask him now what he would have done, he probably would have said, take the money and run
Mhm.
and live your life and be available for the girls because now I'm the only parent. So that's I just wanted a little bit more. Although my job offers me a lot of flexibility and I do enjoy it. I'm tired. And sometimes I feel like because of the way life has went for me lately, that I need a little bit more rest and time at home. So I decided to retire. I'll be done May 30th. I will go to I believe it's 30. I might have missed one or two when I had my kids' graduation ceremonies, but I will do that on Friday the 30th, which is 1 month from today.
It is.
And then I will be done with my career here.
You will be greatly missed in the Studio 3 era.
Thank you so much.
So we kind of jumped from the beginning when you came to Worthington and your end of your career here in Studio 3.
Right.
A lot has happened in the middle,
Certainly. Oh my goodness. Professionally and personally.
personally and professionally. Let's start with the professional side of it. What has changed
Oh,
in the world of Studio 3, Cable 3 since 1994?
just about everything.
Right?
It when I came, we were doing VHS and we were editing, reel to reel. I mean, I guess that's how I would tape to tape. We had a beta machine that was this big. All the equipment was huge, took up a lot of room. Nothing was digital. Uh,
You were in a different
we were in
location.
a different location. Yeah. I started out down where special education is, and when I started, it was completely different. My job was kind of different as well. I was um, the only. I was the. What they did was took Dale McMahon's job and split it into two. He was kind of the Cable 3 manager and a classroom teacher.
Mhm.
And so they hired myself and Abigail Dooley
Okay.
that year.
Yes.
And she taught, and then I ran the studio and helped with the technical side of it. She was not, I think she had a degree in English, and so she didn't have much technical expertise. So I co-taught the class with her and kind of helped her along the way to kind of learn how to do all those things, the editing side of it. And so that part is different. Like I said, all the equipment it was bigger and clunkier and had many more technical difficulties. We had to put tapes in to run all of our programming on Channel 3.
Yes.
Somebody had to be here on Sundays to run our church programming.
Yes.
So yeah, it was all different.
And you moved to the new studio where we're currently sitting
Right.
in 2000.
2000. I was pregnant. I think I remember moving about June 1st or 2nd down here, moving stuff from my old location to here, and then I think I had Kate about 5 or 6 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and that was 2000, and we've been here ever since. And I was kind of in on try planning how this was all set up, how the studio was set up. Didn't exactly go like we had planned it. They kind of flipped it on us. We were supposed to have,
Unfortunately.
yes, unfortunately. But with architects, I heard that sometimes is the case.
The unfortunate part is your offices could have had windows.
Yes, that would have been nice.
And since they did it this way, they did not have
Right.
windows.
And we can't have windows in a television studio.
Right.
You can't have natural light. So
Right.
it didn't make much sense, but it was done by the time uh, we could have had anything to say about it. So yeah, I always say my cave. We're all in caves, though. I'm not the only one that's in a cave. That part I won't miss. It becomes increasingly harder as I get older to be there because it's hard for me to stay awake, especially if I've had a big lunch. I mean, I might be underneath the desk, poor old George Costanza from Seinfeld sleeping underneath my desk. But yeah, so it's just been many, many changes. Now, as you know, everything's digital, all on computers, all that editing had to be learned. But yeah, I've enjoyed learning everything. I've enjoyed most of it all of the
Yes. Yes. And you've
time.
done a nice job. One of the things that I always appreciate about you is how well the camera loves your face.
Oh my
So
goodness.
whenever you have a picture taken or you're on video, you just look great. So we
Oh.
get this one last hurrah of your wonderful
Yes.
camera face.
Oh, well, God bless you. It's much older than it was 30 years ago, but
Thank
like we were
God.
talking,
Huh?
yes,
Yes, we're
we
lucky
were
for that.
talking, we will take uh, the privilege, not getting old is a privilege that
It
some people
absolutely
don't
is.
get. I learned that
Absolutely.
this last year and a half. So,
And we're thankful for it. Every line and every wrinkle,
right, we
we're
earned it.
thankful for. Yes. So you mentioned your girls a little bit. We know that they're a very important part of your life. You want to tell us a little
Sure.
bit about them?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. Um, I have two daughters, Hope and Kate. Hope has is a fourth grade teacher, and she is at Beacon Academy. It's a charter school in Crystal. She got her master's degree last December and is thriving. And my daughter Kate just moved downtown St. Paul. She's been in Savage with a friend of hers living for, I think they've been there about 3 years. And she just moved to downtown St. Paul. I kind of laugh that it's kind of her Mary Tyler Moore moment, moving to the big city, but in St. Paul. And she's got a lovely apartment, studio apartment there. And then she cuts hair in Egan. Um, and she's doing great and thriving too. She is really doing well, and I'm really, really proud of both of them. They've been given some tough breaks in the last year and a half, and um, they've handled them with grace, and I'm I admire them for that.
They've learned from example of their mom
Oh, bless
that's
you.
done a good job with what life has handed you the last couple years. It's tough, and it's more than just Dave passing away. It's all everything else that goes with it too. So you guys have all handled it very well,
Thank
very
you for
well.
that. Yeah, they're doing great. As with kids, I always say as of today, they're doing great. You never know. I mean, because they don't always tell you everything, but I think they're doing really, really well. And as much as I may have helped them, they've helped me get through
Yeah.
all this. And really, everything comes down to that.
As a
We
family,
work.
that's what you
Yeah,
do.
we
Yes.
work a lot, and we spend a lot of time, a lot of our waking hours with the people that we work with.
Yes.
And so sometimes more than our family. So that's why when you make a transition like I'm making, um, it's it's hard. I mean, I will miss this. This is my family.
Hmm.
I see these people all day, every day, and although a lot of them have retired and went on to other things, it's still a family here. And as much as it is a job, it also became very clear to me how there probably isn't a better place to work when something catastrophic happens to you
Yes.
than this school district. The support that I got here from everyone was unbelievable, and I will never be able to express that enough. And so it is hard to leave because not everybody has that in their job. And unfortunately, they don't
Unfortunately.
have that support and or flexibility and or people working with them to try to make a time in their life as manageable as possible. So I it's been unbelievable. The community, the school district especially. So I for sure want to thank everybody for that.
So you've when Dave passed away suddenly, traumatic, tragic incident, what advice would you give to someone else when they see somebody go through the same thing as you have? What can we do as friends, family, neighbors, community to help someone who goes through something sudden, tragic? What's the most helpful thing or the best thing somebody has said to you?
Oh wow. Um there's so many things. that people did. The kindness of others has just been unbelievable. All the things that you can think of. Um, you know, just being there, support, food, all that, all of that is wonderful. But I've read several things and I thought, um, this just happened to me the other day in the drive-through to the bank. Someone had said that he had went in to have his DOT physical. And Dave did a lot of those DOT physicals. That's what he was mainly doing when he passed away and had been for years. And he liked that and he enjoyed it. And he said, I miss Dave, I miss Dave doing it. And he just had talked to me about just Dave and chiropractic care and all of that. And um, I visited with him for a little bit and I said, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that. I love to hear the stories. Sometimes people will think that's going to um, remind you of that they're gone. Well, you don't need a reminder that they're gone. You
Right.
know that all of the time.
Right.
But when they're living inside somebody else's head a little bit, that's everything. It really is because um, you don't want them to be forgotten. And so just all the support. How are you doing? Is great, but a lot of times just sit down with someone and tell me about your loved one.
Mhm.
Tell me a story about Dave, or
Mhm.
you know,
Or I could say,
or I could.
I remember when he did something and
Right.
you want to hear that
Oh, absolutely.
anytime.
Anytime, anytime, because that means that he. I know he touched a lot of people, but that it's never going to make you grieve more. That's always there. So say the thing, give the hug, go to the house. Sometimes it's hard,
Yeah.
but do it because it means everything in the world, and you never forget it. I will never forget all the support I got.
So even if somebody says the wrong thing, them being there and
Absolutely,
trying is really what matters.
absolutely, because I've said the wrong thing. What is there to say? What's the right thing to say?
Right.
It's all bad. It's awful. You're not you Nobody ever comes with a bad intention.
Right.
They just, maybe something slips out of their mouth. They think, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." I never once thought, "Oh, that person shouldn't have said that."
Right.
But it just be there and say the thing that you want to say.
Mhm. That's really good encouragement because sometimes people don't do something because
Right,
they don't know what to say. And I've heard before, just give them a hug and don't say anything.
right.
And then you're still there.
Yep,
I
yep,
would agree with that.
yep. Wholeheartedly. Yep. So that it's all meant so much to me. And a lot of people say to me, "Are you going to leave Worthington?" And because of the girls that are up
Mhm.
in the cities, wow, I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere. I mean, I grew up in Emmitsburg and love that community. I've thought about moving back there, but I only lived there for 18 years. I lived in Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Vermilion, and then I came here, and I've lived here as long as I've lived anywhere. And I love the community. I love my house. I love where I live. I love the people. I love the lake. I love being in the house that Dave and I dreamed of living in.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool story. I'll tell you that one. I had my grandfather had kidney failure, and he had a nurse that was a dialysis nurse that would come into his house most of the time and give him dialysis. But when they couldn't, we would come here because this hospital had a dialysis unit.
So your dad was
My grandpa was in
in
Emmitsburg,
Emmitsburg, so he would come to
have
Worthington.
Worthington, and sometimes if I was home from school or Sioux City or whatever, I would bring him.
Mhm.
And he would go to the hospital and go up to the dialysis unit, and I would drive around town or whatever and drive around the lake, never thinking I would live here. But at that time, the house that I live in was on the campus basically
Oh yeah, it was.
of the hospital.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my grandpa, "That is the coolest house." He said, "I know, I love that house, but I wonder why it's there."
Mhm.
Well, now I know because I know the history of it. It was all built around it. That was a neighborhood. But I thought, oh, I would love to live there. And Dave thought the same thing. And he had lived here for I don't know how many years. And then Al Oberlo moved the house.
Right.
And he said he saw that and he thought, oh, that's my dream house. I want to live there someday. And so it was always the house that we wanted to live in. We always lived on the Lake Road.
Yeah.
We lived on West Lake, then we moved to Lake Avenue, and then where we're at on West Shore now. But one day, well, we looked at it one time when we couldn't afford it, and we just thought, oh, we still want to live there someday. I think that was when Al and Janice lived there, and they were selling it. We didn't get it at that time, and we knew we couldn't, but we just wanted to look at it. So in 2013, I was going to run with Ellen Merrigan, one of our friends and running partners. We all
Yes.
used to run together.
Yes.
I was going to run the Sioux Falls Half Marathon. And so Dave said, let's go. That house is for sale again. Let's go look at it real quick again. And I went through it and, of course, I loved it even more. And said, well, I got to go. Alan's picking me up. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, you know what? I think I love the house. But you know what? I didn't expect him. He called me that night. We were carb loading at a restaurant, having spaghetti because we were running 13 miles the next day. And he called and said, I bought the house. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So that day running, all I could think about is I get to live in my dream house. And my guy bought it for me. So we moved in October of 2013.
Nice.
And I say that because it was that I love my house and kind of told that story because I wondered how I would feel when I came back there.
Yeah.
Without him.
Yeah.
That first night um, and every day that I pull up there, I've got his truck parked there now because I moved it out. I needed some things in the garage. And I still think, oh, Dave's home. I know that's crazy, but it's comforting for me to be in that house. And so when people ask, when are you going to move? Or are you going to move up to the kids? That will be tough.
Not yet.
Not yet. And my garage tells the story that I have a lot of work left to do before I put that thing on the market. So,
well, you're retiring, so
I am. So I will have that time to do that,
Yeah.
but I've got a couple years of work ahead of me,
That's all
I
right.
think. So, and I'm looking forward to that time to just kind of work on that a little bit and then, just not feel pulled between both places, which we all feel.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. I don't know how retirement's going to feel.
One thing I've learned is you can never predict the future.
Oh,
So
absolutely
we live in.
not.
So
Yes.
this is your interview, but I'm going to interject something.
Sure.
One cool thing is my dad passed away just a few weeks
Yes,
before
right.
Dave
Yeah.
did. And there's been a cardinal in our backyards because we live very
Right.
close to
Yeah.
kitty corner crossing
We do.
backyards together in between your house and mine that has lived there since that fall of 23. And I think of Dave and I think of my dad whenever I hear that cardinal every single day. And I just love that because
Yeah.
that's just a little remembrance
Yeah.
of those who have gone before us.
That's right. And you've got to look for those signs too.
Yes. Yes.
I'll look for him.
That
It's a
cardinal.
him, right? Is he
Yes.
pretty?
Yes.
Why do the boy birds always get to be pretty?
I don't know. I don't know. But isn't that the way it is?
It is. It is
So,
nature.
yes.
Yeah.
So you've done, you've had a lot of experiences in Worthington. What are some of your favorite parts of Worthington?
Oh.
You
Well,
we
we ran
ran.
a lot. We've run a lot of miles together.
Yes.
And Dave got me started on that. I remember when he said, he came to Sioux City one time and he said, let's go for a run. So we ran around the block and in Sioux City on Virginia Street I lived, and I complained. He might have had another word for it. The entire time he said to me, I thought, oh, she's never going to get Dave had a lot of hobbies,
Yeah.
and so he wanted to share a lot of things with me. He thought, I'm never going to do that. Well, I continued to do it, and I ran a memorial run for a guy dad that I worked with out at the airport. And I called him and he said, I can't believe you did it. I said, I wasn't going to tell him until I did it. And But yeah, running around the lake, running with my friends. Turkey Day, I was on a Turkey Day board for a while, and so was Dave. Dave spent a lot more years on than I did.
Yeah.
Um, and the regatta, the people, just the lake, honest to God, can really soothe me in a way not many other things can.
Yeah.
Just to walk around it, take Louie out for a walk, and once I get there to Sunset Park and see that sun rising,
Yeah.
a lot of mornings today was beautiful, and just this is home, and I appreciate that. I don't think I always appreciated that. I think I we had talked about moving to Minneapolis once David kind of had worked a couple years here and things like that. We never made it, but I don't regret that.
Yeah.
My time here has been lovely, and I look forward to having more time here in a different capacity.
Yes.
I might volunteer. I also have put in all my paperwork to maybe substitute teach a little bit. I don't know if that's good news or bad news
That's great.
for the kids here in town, but I'd probably just do it at the high school because
You're
it's my
comfortable.
family.
Mhm.
So yeah, I look forward to the solace of retirement, and then I'm a little bit wary of it as well.
Yeah. I understand. I
Yeah.
understand for sure.
So
For sure. So, anything else you want to say, or last words of wisdom that you would give to anybody that's kind of in your situation of retirement, losing a spouse, of an age?
right, right. That of an age thing that has been the biggest surprise to me. And you and I were talking about earlier how we look in the mirror and we see differences,
Mhm.
obviously, but we've earned them and we try to embrace them. But I guess I would say I don't feel like any different than I ever did. And everything that I've been through with Dave has taught me that the world is still a beautiful place.
It is.
And we lose people, and and none of us gets out alive or unscathed. We all have ups and downs. I've certainly had some in my life, as everybody does, but life is still beautiful, and you can embrace your age or fight it. And I have days where
Right.
but I still want to look at life as a beautiful thing, and that I can continue to live it and live it well and honor my husband and uh, appreciate the people that are in my life, because it's the people that love you and the people that you love that's all that really matters.
100%.
And I've always loved the quote, we're all just walking each other home. And I hope to help a few people that way, and I hope to be helped along the way as well. So I guess
Very nice.
that's
Thank
what I'd
you.
have to say. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Amy.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome to Worthington's Kitchen. I'm Kelly Reeves. This is back with Worthington's Kitchen after quite a long time away. Kelly Reeves, and welcome back to Worthington's Kitchen. Today I have Sean Nay with me. Welcome to Worthington's Kitchen, and today we have a special guest, Sandra Pineda. I work at Studio 3, and Tyson and my colleague and I have been brainstorming about what we could do this summer. From the school board, District 518 school board. We're going to talk about a few things that. Hi, I'm Kelly Reeves. We're we're here with Steve Robinson, City Administrator. We're going to talk about a few things going on in the City of Worthington. Hi, I'm Kelly Reeves, and I am here with Steve Schneider, and we